And now it's time for a bum review with Chelsea A. Bum. Tonight's review, Trump's America, Day 1000. I don't know what to say anymore. This isn't funny. Nothing about this is funny. There is nothing funny to be had here. You know what? I can't do this. You're just going to have to get somebody else. Oh, hello. Didn't hear you come in. Greetings and welcome to Ask That Gal with the Glasses. If America is the richest country in the world, why are there so many people living in poverty? That's a very good question. It's because being rich is very expensive. It takes a lot of money to live a rich lifestyle. If the rich give up all their money to the poor, then they won't have enough left in their budget to buy their 40th yacht, or that sperm whale caviar that they love to swallow. They just swallow it up by the gallons. Who cares if all they'd have to give up is 0.3% of their worth? Could you imagine if we asked someone on minimum wage to pay 12 cents every single day just to end world hunger? That's what they make working for an entire minute! They'd have to give up an entire minute of their wages just to feed every single starving child on the planet. And that is just wrong and despicable. Makes me sick. I want to visit the US. What do you recommend? For starters, I'd buy a bulletproof vest. You never know when somebody with an assault rifle is going to show up and try to shoot you. Theme parks, shopping centers, art festivals, religious activities, sporting events, cinemas, mass protests. The possibilities are endless. But don't let that get you down. You can sleep comfortably knowing that guns have more rights than the people who are shot by them. Yes. Should I get a VPN? Virtual private networks aren't necessary. No one is trying to steal or manipulate your data, especially not for the purposes of propaganda or slanting things in favor of certain candidates. No, more likely they just want to spy on you. Unwarranted search and seizure isn't against the Constitution, so they're more than justified in spying on you. If you use a VPN, it makes you a bad American, and you hate apple pies and puppies. And apple pies made with puppies. With onions. Who should I vote for in the coming election? First, we have to ask the question, are you a felon? Because if you've ever committed any sort of crime, you clearly get no say in who runs the government. We wouldn't want a bunch of criminals running the government now, would we? We only want good, upstanding citizens to be voting. So even if the offense you committed was very minor, or even if the system is slanted against certain peoples to make sure they end up in prison for even minor offenses, you cannot vote. Even after you've served your time, you are never allowed to vote again for the rest of your life. But don't worry, you're not alone in your misery. There are plenty of other people who aren't allowed to vote. Blacks, Latinos, women, young and poor citizens. Oh, sure, they have the right to vote, but nobody actually wants them to vote. Especially not the people in power. That would be a disaster. What does impeachment mean? That's very simple. It's where you throw peaches at someone. Is there someone you don't like? Just grab a basket of peaches and have at it. Teacher give you too much homework? Throw peaches at him. Boss wants you to work late? Throw peaches at her. Someone cut you off in traffic? Rear-end them, sideswipe them, run them off the road so that they're in a fiery wreck, and as they crawl out of the mangled wreckage, you can stand over them, the flames to their backs, and throw peaches at them. But it's very important to know that you never impeach someone who is mentally unstable, especially if they're holding a very high office, and more importantly, if they're super rich. Never, ever impeach a person like that. When's the best time to visit Cancun? any time is a great time to visit Cancun. Just be prepared to stay there, because you won't be allowed back into the US. If you try to enter the US, you'll be stopped by federal agents, your children taken away from you, and both you and they will be shoved into separate cages in separate facilities, where there will be no soap, hundreds of people stuffed into a small space, and no beds. You will literally be sleeping in the dirt. It doesn't matter if you're a 65-year-old grandmother, or a teenage mother whose baby is stripped naked by the guards. You will be outside, sleeping in the dirt of the dog pound. But don't despair, some good comes out of this. I hear they're bringing back pound puppies. Only now, it's pound refugees. Don't you want to adopt an adorable little Mexican girl? After all, she'll never see her parents again once they get deported back to Mexico. Why not forcibly transfer her from one group of people to another? I mean, it's not like it's genocide.
My phone is an Android, and yet it's running iOS? It's clearly an Android phone, and yet it's calling itself an iPhone. What should I do?
Disown it. It's an abomination in the eyes of the Lord and should be dealt with harshly. Who cares if on the inside where it counts? It is, at heart, in fact, an iPhone. If it has an Android body, it is an Android. End of discussion.
How do I get a girl to marry me?
Oh, that's easy. Get her pregnant. It doesn't matter whether or not she actually wants to be pregnant. If you get her pregnant, there's nothing she can do about it. And she'll be forced into the service of caring for your child for the rest of both of their lives. Now, I know what you're thinking. Isn't that wrong? Of course not. It's a perfectly accepted practice in society. It's not like women are intelligent beings capable of making decisions regarding their own bodies. That's for the men to decide. And if she puts up a fight, beat her. Beat her within an inch of her life. Don't worry, it's not like you'll be prosecuted for it. So don't hesitate to marry the girl of your dreams, even if she is literally a girl. Child marriage is legal in 48 states. Yes.
Where should I move if I want nice weather?
You know, I've been wondering that myself. And honestly, the best answer is the North Pole. If you start walking now, you should make it there just in time for all the ice caps to have melted. And it'll be balmy summer weather. Be sure to pack your swimsuit. And don't worry about the polar bears. They'll all be extinct by the time you get there.
My 13-year-old son was arrested and sent to an adult jail. What should I do?
Oh, don't worry. He'll have a fine time with the other 32,000 children in adult jails. It's a wonderful place, I hear. And he'll be there all his life without parole, so he'll have plenty of time to make friends. Even if he somehow manages to get out, he'll be put right back in, because that's how prisons make their money, incarcerating people. Many prisons are owned by corporations, after all, and businesses have to be concerned with their bottom line. If people were properly rehabilitated and integrated back into society, how ever would the prison CEOs buy their 40th yacht or that sperm whale caviar?
Interacting with heterosexuals is against my religion. Can I bar them from entering my place of business?
Oh, you can do so much more than that. You can fire them. You can prevent them from adopting children. You can beat them up on the subway for holding hands. And why stop there? If they're pregnant and unmarried, you can fire them too. If it goes against your religion, you have free reign to do whatever you want. For example, it is against my religion to wear funny hats. Anybody caught wearing a funny hat will be strung up by their toes, their head dunked in honey, and then stuffed into an anthill, where they will be consumed while still alive and in agonizing and horrific pain. It doesn't matter if that person's not a part of my religion. I have the right to do it to them, as long as I do it in the name of my God.
My mommy is in jail, and we need to bail her out, but have no money. Can you spare some?
That's ridiculous. Why would it cost money to get out of jail? If that were the case, it would mean that only rich people were allowed to commit crimes. What about all the poor people who have only been accused but are innocent? Are they supposed to spend extended periods of time behind bars for something they didn't do? Or what if it's something small, like I don't have money to pay a fine because I'm poor? Are they going to jail me for not having money and then expect me to pay with money I don't have to get out of jail? Pfft, preposterous.
Will you support my GoFundMe to pay for my surgery?
Absolutely not. If you're poor, you deserve to die. Even if you're middle class, you deserve to die. It's the American way. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. You have the right to live a long and miserable life as you suffer through easily curable diseases. You have the right to choose which insurance company will rip you off as they get richer and you are still unable to pay your medical bills. And you can pursue happiness, chasing the comforting thought of the sweet embrace of death, which will put you out of your misery and put your family in crippling debt due to the funeral costs. But tell you what, I'll pitch into the GoFundMe for your funeral if it makes you feel any better. The Grim Reaper is a friend of mine. I'll be sure to tell him to send a limo to pick you up tonight.
What's your opinion of pet parents who crate their dogs overnight?
I don't see anything wrong with it. After all, it's okay to cage children indefinitely without any sort of constitutional protections. They don't require medicine. They don't need any treatment to deal with the trauma of being in prison-like conditions, separated from their parents. Heck, permanently keep your dog in his cage and feed him nothing but microwave burritos. He'll be fine.
What should I do if I'm pulled over by a police officer?
That's easy. Be white. Be just as white as you can be. Even if you have drugs on you, they probably won't arrest you. And they certainly won't shoot you, especially if you're unarmed. After all, your life matters. You have a right not to be murdered, especially not by the people who are supposed to be protecting you.
Is the KKK a terrorist organization?
Now, why would you think that? It's not like they're a clandestine group whose actions are politically motivated, or are perpetrated against non-combatant targets. Maybe if they were trying to fulfill some sort of political or ideological or social objective, then I could see it. But I just don't see how a group whose sole purpose is to terrorize people could be considered a terrorist organization.
Is Donald Trump a Nazi?
No. In order to be a Nazi, you have to be a nationalist. What is a nationalist, you ask? A nationalist is someone who thinks that their country is superior to all other countries, even when their own country is not only guilty of genocide and massive war crimes in its past, but also in its present state. A country which systematically oppresses, imprisons, enslaves, and just generally neglects the welfare of its people couldn't possibly be the superior nation. And I'm sure Mr. Trump is well in touch with this reality. If he were to, say something like, people from other nations are inherently rapists and criminals simply because they're not American, then I'd believe he's nationalist. Or perhaps if he blathered on about how great America is while not actually doing anything to improve the country, then it would be even more plausible. Or if he were to call other nations shithole countries while not seeing how his own nation is falling apart. Wait, I forgot. Donald J. Trump has literally said he is a nationalist. So in answer to your question, yes.
Is Trump the second coming of God?
Of course not. I am the second coming of God. I am the chosen one. I am the king of Israel. I am king of the Jews, except for the Jews who vote Democrat. They're all traitors. I want to buy Greenland. The media is the enemy of the people. I am a very stable genius. Covfefe. Okay, I guess I'll have to finish this up. Okay, last question.
What does Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata sound like?
This is just C.A. Bum saying there's no such thing as a stupid statement until Trump says it.